Speaking with News Central, Okuama indigents affirmed their resolve to reject the option of IDP camp located at Ewu Kingdom, expressing fears that if they accede to the Ewu IDP camp option, they would lose their farm holdings in Okuama to looters from the neighboring community. So now joining us for a detailed view on conversations that happened at the town hall meeting, we have with us Honorable Jacob Akemor of Okuama, the former LG Councillor, Okuama community. Honorable Jacob, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to have you, sir. So, sir, let's ask, can you first of all provide us with a first-hand account of the current situation in Okuama? How are the residents coping with the aftermath of March 14th and returning to their homes?
Okay. First of all, I want to give glory to God because the situation that happened in Okuama is a very difficult one. But we thank God for the intervention of the government, our senator, our governor, the House of Rep members, that stand, an individual that stand to fight for us to make sure Okuama return back to their community. Now that we have returned, it's a different situation entirely. Because all that we left before and after the incident, now that we return, there's nothing remain to start from. The situation presently is very difficult. Very, very difficult with the people right now. Because there is no place to stay. The only unit that remains in that community is St. Peter's Anglican Church, Okuama. That's what built since 1903. And that is the only building that is remaining. That is where the people are managing. So to cook is a problem. They only just have one little shelter, which is the children's chapel, where they are cooking their food. And every other person is asleep in the church at night. So presently, it's a very difficult situation for the people to start up again.
During the town hall meeting that we had at Okuama, many of the residents and the indigents there express, you know, their worries and their fears. But you are there. What is their primary concern at this time, especially relocating to the IDP camp? And what is is the government aware of their primary concern, and how do they intend to address it? Okay.
For they complained because everyone said we are not going to the IDP camp. The reasons is this. Because when we left the community for 2 months plus now, on our return, what do we met? We met our nearby community, these same people that be still troubling the riverine area in our community. They are looting from everything that remain in the community. They have been looting them. So, and little time they came again, their women, they protested that Okuama not supposed to be there again. That Okuama don't belong to Bomodi local government, that they should relocate Okuama out of that place. And this is our fear. If we leave that community to the camp, because the distance between Okuama and Ewu is a bit far away. So if we leave the community to Ewu, before we return, I don't think we have a place that we call Okuama again. Because that's the same promise they promised us that Mr. Patrick from Okoloba community said it. When he through with Okuama community, there shall be no any community called Okuama again. And on our return, we are seeing the evidence of what they have been saying concerning us, concerning the community ever since. So this is our fear. That is why we decide that they are not going to the camp. Because if we leave this village, leave this community and go to the camp at Ewu, we will not come back to this community again. But now, yesterday, the governor of Delta State invited us because since the beginning of this issue, we have never had a meeting with the governor one-on-one. But as yesterday, he sent for us, our leader, we went to the government house to have a discussion with him. And he gave us the reasons why we need to come to the camp and what he will do immediately. So now We are having a rethink. Even today, we are having a meeting with the community, the youth, the women, and our stakeholder, so that we put heads together to see how we can handle this situation on ground.
We're currently being joined now. Honorable, thank you so much for that answer. We understand that our correspondent who's in Delta is joining us live now. Austine, do we have you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning, Judy.
Austine, a very good morning to you. You've been covering this story so far as it unfolded and just developed and from March 14th all the way till now. What is the situation, so far with the residents? Let's start from there with you.
Well, the situation with the residents, what Honorable Jacob has said is not quite different from the reality on the ground. To speak at the moment, most of the returnees are currently sick. They lack food, the children are malnourished, and to speak what has before the community, no house anymore, no shelter for them, and they scrabble for the little food that can get across to them. We went there for the town hall meeting. It was like, we don't know how to describe it, but it was not a really good situation for anyone to find itself at the moment. On that very fateful day, we saw how sick the people were, the children, the dogs, so malnourished, and even by the grace of God, I aim to have to, rush a mother and a child to the Ugele Federal Hospital, where that person and where the mother and the child could get medical attention. And just one among the almost hundreds of them who are currently returned to the community at the moment. So the situation there at the moment, they need assistance, medical, food, and clothing, because what they leverage on, the only clothes they had at the moment is the one they ran into the bush with, and that has been what they have been wearing, washing, and bringing back. Particularly, there was an old woman who expressed how she looks at the moment. She tied her leg with pieces of clothes, and of course, she had this strong rheumatism at the moment. So ideally, I think people need medical assistance and food, because that is the most primary important thing at the moment to keep them alive, while the government and the people are trying to sort things out for where to relocate to, where not to relocate to, and so on and so forth. Let's look out for their health first and their well-being.
Okay, so Austine, we also have some information about very implicating tales that the villagers have been telling. And one of these includes the former Nimasa DG Patrick Akebor. Now, there are implicating stories saying that he has a hand in the genesis of the conflict that is going on. What have you heard about that?
Well, the same story they told us on the day of the town hall meeting. We heard the story before, and the same thing they repeated, because there's no smoke without fire. That's true. But they said that they were living together peacefully for hundreds of years, even before the Patrick even returned back to the community, Okuama community, and before he started living, before he started living normal, associated with every other person who are in Nigeria. And they were living together, they were intermarried, they have this communal relationship, and they have been living together. But it's very unfortunate that the name keeps repeating itself. And I think it's an avenue for Patrick himself to avail himself to explain to the world and explain to the Deltans the relationship they had together and where it became so sour.
Austine, I asked specifically about the Nimasa DG being implicated. I don't know if you've heard anything about it. And we're talking about Akebor Patrick. The villagers are saying that he had a hand in a conflict when it started. Are there any details about that you have come across?
Yes, like I said earlier on, the same story they told us on the day of the town hall meeting was what they repeated over time, because when the incident happened, the issue started with land disputes, and from land disputes, the military that came on the peace mission happens to be like an intelligence they gather based on the fact of what someone has told them that there are issues at this place, they need to settle it. So we are yet to hear from Patrick. So I think Patrick should be the one to tell us what happened, because he has been alleged. So he should be the one to defend himself. I have not gotten any information from him regarding if he was involved or not. But the people of Okuama has alleged that He is actually the architect of the misfortune that has befell their community.
Okay, then, Austine, let's go back to Honorable Jacob. Honorable Jacob, about this implication, have you heard about it and what exactly are the details?
Okay, the details of this whole thing is that when we have been living in that community for decades now, we have been living like brothers and sisters. Most time, our boys, we went to Okoloba community, we stay there. At times when they have a burial of any of the party, they visit them. The Okoloba people, at the same time, they visit our community. They can move through the Okoloba to Okuama, from Okuama to Akubene community. That is how we move. Most time, you want to go to Okuama through Okwagbe waterside. When you don't have any people to move, then we cross you with a hand pulling boat. Then as they cross you, will get a motorcycle from there down to Okuama. You will pass through Ofonibaya, you pass through Ofurukama, you pass through Ezebri, pass through Ogodobri, before you get to Okoloba. After Okoloba, you will get to Okuama. We are living so very peaceful until this Patrick, former DG of Nimasa, came back home. When he came back home, he's the one who built the Maritime University at Okoloba. To the extent, later they abandoned the project. All the building have already been set up there before they abandoned it. But little time he come to Okuama. He crossed from the Okoloba boundary, crossed the boundary. The normal boundary will be, everyone know from the onset. He crossed it to Okuama side. He graded the whole place open. What do you want to do? Okuama asked him, what do you want to do here? He said, I want to build a school and his own personal compound. And he already built a compound before them. So we're surprised that we said, this is Okuama land. You cannot just come and build the land just like that. If you want to build a school, we didn't say no. It's a thing of a development. Maybe our children will still benefit from the school. But before then, you're supposed to come to the community to come and hear from our leaders. Then we have a discussion before such a project will be take off. You cannot just come that the federal government give you a project to build a school and you want to come and build it in our land. Just like that, at least you let us know. We are all human. This is just the beginning of the whole thing. We have never had any problem with Okoloba before. We have never had any problem with Akubene. They've been living together in the riverine area until when Patrick came back home, this problem started.
Now, let me come to you, Austine, or rather, I'll throw this question to both of you. What are the potential long-term implications for the Okuama community if they continue to refuse to move to the IDP camp? Because the thing about IDP camps is that they're supposed to move there and then rebuild from there. But how can they be supported to rebuild their lives on their ancestral land when there's actually nothing left there for them?
Okay, first and foremost, the implication there remains that a lot of them are sick at the moment, the returnees. So it means that they need medical help. If they cannot get access to medical help and food, it means that some of them will lose their life prematurely. So the discussion between the government and the Okuama people, I think, is ongoing. So like what Jacob rightly said, so the leaders and the stakeholders will meet again and put their heads together to see the best way forward, because we cannot lose two things at the same time. So the health and the people of Okuama must be alive to ensure that they are able to return to their ancestral home and proclaim their ancestral home. In good health, you return to your ancestral home, and in sound mind, you occupy your land. So that would be the best way for them to, settle this issue amicably between the government and the Okuama people.
Honorable Akemor, I want to ask you the same question as well. What would be the implication for them if they continue to refuse to move to the IDP camp? How can they rebuild their lives and be supported when there's nothing left in their ancestral home?
Okay. That is one of the reasons why we refuse to go to the camp. But just like what I said before, the governor of Delta State have made us understand, give us the reasons why we need to come to the camp. And I told you today we are having a meeting with the leaders, are having a meeting with the community so that we can put heads together how we can solve this problem of ground so that life can begin again. Because we can't continue be dragging with the, because The government owns us, and we own the government. So today, by the end of our meeting today, we come into conclusion. We'll have an agreement on what to do and what is going to happen.
Well, okay, then. I want to say thank you very much, Austine Azu, and thank you very much, Honorable Jacob Akemor, for joining us this morning and giving us insight on exactly what's happening in Okuama. Thank you very much, sir.